And now the final prize, the Obstetrics prize. The winning team is from Spain. The Obstetrics Prize is awarded to Marisa Lopez Tejon, Alex Garcia Faura, Alberto Prats Galino, and Luis Palares Aniorte for showing that a developing human fetus responds more strongly to music that is played electromechanically inside the mother's vagina than to music that is played electromechanically on the mother's belly. Please welcome the winners.
Institute Marqués is carrying out a state-of-the-art research on how music impacts the embryonic and fetal development. We have improved in vitro fertilization by applying musical vibrations inside the incubators of our fertility clinics and by inserting a speaker in the vagina of thousands of patients. For the first time, we have been able to communicate with the fetus. To achieve this, we have to create the Babypod. This is an FDA-approved vaginal speaker that connects to the phone. Thanks to the Babypod, we have discovered how fetal hearing works. Fetuses can barely hear noise outside the womb. The fetal ability to hear starts when they only measure 11 centimeters, 4 inches, and fetuses the myth of talking to your belly is over.
Good job. We have only 2 talks left. One of them is from the Obstetrics Prize winner this year, and then we will hear from Thomas Thwaites, whom you know as Goatman. The Ig Nobel Obstetrics Prize this year was awarded to the team who came from Spain, kindly to join us, Marisa Lopez Tejon, Alex Garcia Faura, Alberto Prats Galino, and Luis Palares Aniorte, for showing that a developing human fetus responds more strongly to music that's played electromechanically inside the mother's vagina than to music that is played electromechanically on the mother's belly. Please welcome the team that did this research. It might be easier if I do. Oh, okay.
This is what we have discovered. When the fetuses listen to music, they react with mouth and tongue movements. They try to vocalize, but the only way the sound can reach them is through the vagina. Institute Marqués is carrying out state-of-the-art research on how music impacts the embryonic and fetal development. We have improved in vitro fertilization by applying musical vibrations inside the embryo incubators, Hence, the next step should be playing music to the fetuses. We saw that the speakers on pregnant women's bellies, even with very high intensity, didn't induce any fetal reaction, so we thought perhaps they weren't able to hear the sound. Therefore, we have to bring the sound closer. We had to introduce a speaker in the vagina of pregnant women. Obviously, I only got people to laugh at me. But Luis Pallares designed exactly what we needed.
Meow, meow, meow. Wow. So this is the Babypod. This is an intravaginal speaker that connects to an external source of sound. All right. Oh, you moving it? All right. So when the sound is playing from the outside of the womb, the fetus only receives distorted and absorbed sounds. And that is due to the layers of soft tissues that make up the abdominal wall, as you can see on the left side. Right. So as you all know, the vagina is a closed space, and therefore there's no sound dispersion on it. With the Babypod, the layers that separate the fetus from the sound emitting device are way less. It's only the vaginal wall and the uterus. So we are able to get rid of the abdominal wall.
So we perform a clinical trial with more than 100 patients to compare fetal facial response with 3 different stimuli: abdominal music with standard headphones at the belly at 98 decibels, which would correspond to intensity of a train passing by at a short distance. The second group with intravaginal vibration, and yes, we used a sexual toy, no problem, with our patients who were happy with that, at 68 decibels, which corresponds of the intensity of a loud discussion, so it was quite high. And finally, with the Babypod, intravaginal music at 54 decibels, which is the intensity of a normal conversation. The results with the first 2 groups, there was no changes on fetal facial expression, and only when we played intravaginal music, the fetus started to wake up with unspecific limb and head movements, and especially with specific mouth movements, with wide mouth opening and complete tongue protrusion, which is very unusual. So we published our conclusions in the ultrasound and concluded that when we play intravaginal music, we will induce a specific fetal response with speech movements, that this response is due to audition and not to vibration, because there was no response when we played vibration at a high intensity, and that the only way to stimulate fetal audition is through the mother's vagina, because there was no fetal response when we played music through the abdomen. Other interesting clinical findings was that fetal audition starts at the 16th week, when it only measures 4 inches, and which is 11 centimeters, much earlier than it was published before. And our theory, our hypothesis from a neurological point of view, is that music is able to stimulate brain pathways related to language and communication, and that are located at the primitive brainstem. We also studied fetal response to different types of musics and human voice, and there are very interesting differences between voices and musics. And now that we know that we can communicate with the fetus and that we can stimulate its brain before birth, we've studied many RDI projects related to fetal brain imaging with MRI and postnatal follow-up of these babies, just to see if we can improve learning, communication, and maybe learning could start into the womb.
Meow.